We are dancing to Wigwam's Do You Want to Taste It? It's 80s glam hairband metal.
Marvel and DC shows. What's the difference, you might ask? Well, there is a big difference. And let me explain. So recently, Secret Invasion finished its run. And Marvel shows, the ones today, the MCU Marvel shows, they're all designed to be a part of the MCU. The stories that are going on there are the same stories that you will see going on in the cinematic releases, the ones that you see in theaters. However, there's been a big problem with quality for the Disney Plus shows, because anything that goes in Disney Plus, it seems like it's very much hit or miss. It could either be as good as a Miss Marvel or WandaVision, or more likely it could be as, underwhelming or as mediocre as She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which had a good start but then went downhill fast. Moon Knight, which could not stick the landing despite the fact that it did so well to set everything up in the first few episodes. And then Secret Invasion, which was just lazy writing in a lot of places. And then that finale was just like, oh my God, like these guys think they're writing some really adult themes and things that are very serious, but doing it with the least amount of nuance imaginable. Like, it was kind of just really bad taste what some of the scenes were toward the end of the last episode of Secret Invasion. So I, for one, I have a problem trusting the quality of Marvel shows, and it's ironic because in the poster of Secret Invasion they say, who do you trust? Well, right now, today, I don't trust Marvel to put together good TV shows on Disney Plus. I think a lot of people love the shows that Marvel did on Netflix, and so those Netflix Marvel shows in many ways I think were as good, if not superior. I mean, the budgets weren't as good, but they had, it was real TV. It felt like TV, whereas these shows on Disney Plus feel like movies that got drawn out into 6 episodes, and then you have filler episodes in a 6-episode series, and it just feels like you're getting ripped off. And the fact that they release them week to week, I think at this point, if this is going to be the quality, then people might as well just wait until the season is done. However, here's some good news, right? Like, we're talking about DC here usually, so let's talk about DC, right? DC shows. What about the shows that DC makes? Now, DC hasn't really had the kind of cohesive strategy behind their programming as Marvel has had in recent years. Even going back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think Marvel, tried to connect everything together as best as they could. However much they acknowledge that show, varies. Kevin Feige may or may not be a biggest fan of that. However, with DC programming of late, with something like Peacemaker, it tied directly into the Suicide Squad that James Gunn directed, and it was a show that I really, really did enjoy. I have not watched all the episodes. I think I skipped around a little bit because I fell behind, but I will definitely go and watch it all the way through one more time before the next season comes out. Because, even just Eagly alone, or just the fact that John Cena is willing to do pretty much anything to entertain an audience, that show was fantastic. The opening sequence to that show alone is worth the watch. And that's not only the only good example of a DC show. And certainly, even though this next one I'm going to talk about is not one that James Gunn is involved with, Doom Patrol is something that Greg Berlanti's team has put together. And Greg Berlanti, you might think, oh, the guy who did all the CW shows? So this must be terrible, right? Because those CW shows weren't the greatest thing ever. Well, yes and no, because, right, those CW shows were on their best day pretty good, but on their worst days really, really bad. But when it came down to a show like Doom Patrol, oh my, oh my, oh my. You guys have no idea how good this show is. If you haven't seen this on Max, go check this out. I believe it just aired its last season, and I haven't seen the last season, but oh my God, everything I've seen so far, Doom Patrol is one of the most underrated, one of the most underappreciated TV shows that DC has put together to date. And Greg Berlanti is going to be involved, I can guarantee you that, in the new DCU under James Gunn. Most definitely he will be, because he's got the chops to do things right, and Doom Patrol is a perfect example of that. And not only that, but now we're getting the Penguin that's going to be coming out on Max in 2024. It got delayed because of the strike and had to shut down production with actors and writers striking. But oh man, Colin Farrell was one of the absolute stars of the Batman, and his character, his accent, his look, everything about the Penguin was amazing in that movie. A very memorable character, and a character that, you know, with the portrayal that we got from Danny DeVito in the 80s and 90s movies, or I think it was 90s, Batman Returns, being so iconic that, you know, two and a half decades later, to go back and be able to give us something that is so different and yet so iconic in its own right, I think you have to appreciate that. And if Matt Reeves' The Batman is anything to go by, and given how involved he is with this TV show as well, I'm excited for this. It's a mini series like one of those Marvel shows, but I can guarantee you this may already be way better than any Marvel show to date, or maybe even in the future. And the fact that this will stay connected to the movie universe, I think is also really, really fantastic, because you're going to watch this show, you're going to be like, okay, and now when we pick up with the Penguin and the Batman Part 2, he would have, you know, gone through the journey on this show. So your interest, your investment of time in this show is going to be rewarded in a way that it feels like a lot of the Marvel shows don't do. Like, because, you know, other than maybe Secret Invasion, or even Secret Invasion, they may refer to some of the events, but I doubt that they're gonna like be like, oh yes, something very specific that happened in Secret Invasion is gonna have a huge effect on a movie like the Marvels. Whereas with the show like the Penguin, I definitely think that's going to be the case. Like, this is going to play into the Batman movies. And then with Doom Patrol, I mean, that's a show that really was sort of its own pocket universe. So I don't believe that show is going to tie much into what we're going to see moving forward in the DCU. But it just speaks to the quality of, you know, production that DC can put together. And then when you look at Peacemaker, we know a season 2 is going to happen. James Gunn has said that as soon as he's done working on Superman Legacy, that he's going to go back and basically start working on Peacemaker season 2. So I am so excited for that. And then of course we're getting Waller, which is another, you know, spin-off from the Suicide Squad, with Viola Davis coming back as the iconic Amanda Waller character. And I'm sure there's going to be some Team Peacemaker characters in that show as well. So yeah, we know that Waller and Peacemaker season 2, and maybe even retroactively Peacemaker season 1, are going to be part of the new DCU. And it's going to be really exciting for me to see that, you know, when you watch those shows and you walk away from those shows, you can expect those shows to have an effect on the movies. You can expect all the storylines to connect in a way that feels very, very natural, and that to me is one of the most exciting things about the DC strategy now under James Gunn, because he has told us that everything, literally everything in the world of the DCU is going to be connected, from the animated to the live action to the TV to the movies to the games. And that's something that even Marvel, you know, has not really been able to do all that very well. Their TV show record at this point is very dodgy. Whereas when you look at the record that DC has got, DC certainly with the CW stuff aside, I think everything that DC is producing now, especially for like Max, it looks fantastic. So let me know what you guys think. Where do you guys land on this debate, Marvel versus DC shows? I personally think DC has a better track record, even though they probably have done fewer of those prestige level shows. The ones that they have done have been absolutely fantastic. And even if you're, you know, I haven't mentioned Titans because I don't think that's really at that level, but even Titans has its moments, and certainly is better than at least a couple Disney Plus shows from Marvel. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Of course, like and subscribe. We do appreciate that. This has been DCU Daily, and I'll see you on the next one.